This conference will now be recorded.
Open the meeting of July 11th, 2024 with roll call of the council. Mr. Abernathy.
Here.
Mr. Way.
Here.
Mrs. Hankins. Mrs.
Here.
Palmer, and Mr. Hardy.
Here.
All right, let's stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is the approval of, I don't know if we can because I have the wrong date, April, it's 18, not 11. Today is the 11th, but messed that up. So we can motion to table and put it on there as the 18th.
Well, I mean, you're just asking for approval of the minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we can make a motion that the title of the minutes are wrong, but everything else is right, and we can approve that, correct?
They're right on the minutes. They're
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
right on here.
There's not, and
We just have to state that it's approval of the April 18th meeting minutes.
And they were included, so.
It is just an adjustment. It's perfectly fine.
Do I have a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve of the April 18th meeting, the April 11th meetings with the adjustment that is the April 18th meeting minutes.
Do I have a second?
second,
Discussion, corrections, additions? All right, call and vote. Mr. Abernathy.
Aye.
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 All right. On to June 13th meeting minutes.
I move to approve the June 13th meeting minutes.
I'll second that.
Discussion, corrections, additions?
Yeah, I'd like a couple of things brought up. Under commissioner comments, it's not super accurate. I'd just like it to reflect that I spent time working on the attorney contract, and that we found that there was no signed dated contract, and point out that the letter was unauthorized and voice my concerns of frustration about the budgeting and keeping the issue of budgeting with if we were to find a new attorney and the lack of communication.
Did you have that written that evening? Your full statement?
Yes.
Would
She
you
did.
like to submit that?
I think she should.
Okay. I don't have it on me right now, so I'll have to bring it back or email it.
Okay.
And then also on unscheduled matters, we moved and approved to appoint a committee for SRO at the next meeting on 6/27, and it was seconded, and the motion carried.
I think that's right.
No,
No,
because
'cause-
I didn't say anything on the 27th. This was the meeting of the 13th.
Because we voted on the 27th.
Yeah.
We voted on putting it on the 27th agenda, yes.
Correct.
So that's correct.
And that's all I saw.
I would like to make a motion to make an amendment to the minutes that Nikki Hankins add in her comments that she has drafted and add that to the minutes.
I'll second. Or do we?
So to be clear, I
Just
didn't
amend
hear.
it?
Yeah, just to
Just
make an
amending.
amendment.
You can make an amendment because you made the motion, but the amendment was to add these comments to the meeting minutes, correct?
Her written report.
And the unscheduled matter. Comments, please.
Yes. Her written report that she Rhoda and her amendments.
Okay. All right, yeah, I'll continue to second that one.
Further discussion? All right, vote. Wait,
Aye.
Aye.
all right, under the June 27th.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Additions or corrections?
Yes. Under section 5, C, it says the proposal was the contracted proposal from Guza. Okay, so we have option A being, option 1 being Guza, option 2 Delhi, or Greenbaum. Yeah, it's actually misworded, and it kind of, the contracted proposal from Guza and Associates in Delhi, Bovee, Martin, and Reed were briefly described. Guza is considered option 1. Delhi is considered option 2. That's incorrect.
Option 2 was Guza
Guza.
and Greenbaum for prosecution. And option 3 was Greenbaum.
It's actually incorrect.
Option 2 was what again?
Option 2 is actually, in my opinion, was
It was a hybrid between.
option
all
3.
three.
Option 3 was my hybrid. Option 2 was the current attorney.
Greenbaum and Guza.
Okay, Greenbaum is 2. So options 1 and 3.
Option 1 was then Ed Guza and his whatever
Prosecutor.
and prosecutor. Option 2 was James Greenbaum. Option 3 was a hybrid, which would be James Greenbaum and Ed Guza. That was what I had offered to the council.
Okay, so your motion was to go with Guza and Delhi.
Yes.
So if we leave them numbered the way they are, that's the way it reads in the actual motion. Correct?
No, because Delhi is not, he can't be considered as his own. He has to be part of something else because he can't represent.
Okay, well, options 1 and 2, condition on modification.
Option 1 would be Guza and Delhi. Option 2 was the current town attorney, Mr. Greenbaum. Option 3 was a hybrid, which was Guza and Greenbaum.
We will fix those numbers.
Sorry, I had that like for a very long time in my head.
So would somebody like to make a motion to amend with the correction at that portion? Who made the motion?
We approved it when we had a discussion, so
Yeah, but you made the original motion, didn't you?
I made a motion to
Mhm.
approve the. I make a motion to amend it
There you go. With the correction of,
with the corrections that
You
I
just discussed.
just stated.
second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Hankins?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. Wasn't here.
You weren't here.
Aye.
Okay. All right, department reports.
Good evening. Go ahead. I will have my written report. This is really all I have to pass on this month. I was just talking to Ginger. We are really busy, just like the rest of the town. This is probably the busiest I've seen it since I've been at the library. It's so I guess for an example, our community room and Montana room, we take reservations for meetings or activities. We have to turn away people until the end of August now. That's the first ever. It's just yeah, it's crazy in there. It's crazy in town, I guess, but it's fun. That's what makes it fun. I just want to call your attention to a couple of things. If you haven't read my written report, we have 2 events. One just passed. It was a comic book workshop from Jay Lauder. He is a former Ennis resident, now MSU professor. And I also just want to make sure you all look at the picture that he drew on there. I want to see Corey's reaction. Huh? Yeah, the posters that he brought really look like Corey a little bit. I'll pass this out. All the little kids that had met you were blown away that you were on this poster. I don't know. It was great. A couple other things going on. This coming Monday, we have a storytelling workshop. Humanities Montana is coming down, and a gentleman will be here, Mark Moss, a professional comedian and storyteller, will be here for different workshops. There'll be a youth workshop, an adult workshop. We'll provide dinner, and then 8 o'clock we're going to sit outside, and if you wish, you can participate and tell your story that you've been crafting. And some of the younger kids will also be telling their stories the next night at the theater with voices of the Madison. Yeah, it's pretty fun stuff. Good news are all our plumbing has been fixed, and these projects were, hold that thought. These projects were on tap for the last fiscal year. We just didn't get it done, but all our plumbing fixes are in, and our fire panel and wiring have been scheduled for next month. So we're on track. Okay. Yes, Brandy. Yeah.
Do you think the History Association could get involved and help with some of that?
Absolutely. So in addition, so I have sent this information. I'll send you a flyer, or I'll just walk a flyer over to you.
Yeah.
And
what's the date again?
This coming Monday, the 15th, are the workshops.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll walk, and I can email you one as well, so you can distribute it through your history people. And then on August, I'll also get you the date. It's either 12th or 13th. We're having a roundtable. Zoe Todd requested to. She did, yeah. Just so. Yeah, so one of those days we're having kind of a storytelling but historical roundtable. Zoe is lining up 2 or 3, her words not mine, old farts, to come in and tell stories about the history of the valley. And so yeah, that'll be next month.
Out of curiosity, are we having Karina Christensen come in with a little owl thing?
We have one at the library.
We have one at the library.
We do.
Is this that? Okay.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah, so it's good. There's been an interest in capturing people's stories and people's oral histories for quite a while. So we're excited to help with that effort.
So much, Carrie.
Yeah, it's good. Any other questions?
If I can help in any way, please let me know.
I will, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
What's the function of your fence that you're going to put in on the north side?
Well, it's sitting back there. The panels are sitting back there now. We've been talking about, over a year now. So the function of the fence was actually to, when we have programs out back, to keep kids in. kind of corralled in an area. We either have programs on the grassy side on the north, but sometimes we also go out back on the little paved, not paved, but landscaped area that we have. And right now there's no, it's impermeable, the apartment building next door, and the alley between the buildings. At first it was kind of a safety feature, not kind of, at first it was a safety feature. And now it's to provide some, as well, to provide some separation between buildings when people sit out there and work or when we have programs. Does that answer
When
your
there's an
question?
aggressive chess game.
Yeah, or if it gets ugly, if it gets ugly back there. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, thank you all.
All right, for law enforcement, Officer Moore is at firearms training in Helena, has been all week. What I know from there is they started with 24 and 11 were excused the first day. You have to meet certain standards. So he got to stay for his part, so he met his initial requirements and has been out on the tarmac at 98 degrees, enjoying that. And you have his written report if you have any questions. You see our speeding trucks. Not speeding trucks.
Meeting trucks in front of the hospital.
Well, you mentioned I need to check on when the sign, the ETA on the sign is
Yes, please.
this.
June.
Okay.
We have an update on,
But theoretically, so if there's no change of speed limit, it should still be 25 from when you hit downtown. So they should all be going slow, but they're hauling. It's bad in front of the library, or I mean, sorry, the hospital.
You-
It's bad.
We've almost made a quarter-mile stretch is what I've determined.
Yeah.
That's almost racetrack now
Yeah.
with 2 lanes. But yeah, ETA on the speed flashing sign. That's not actually in his, but I'll see if I can check on that one.
do we have an update for the previous incident with the car?
Not in the report. The car is currently in Belgrade. It's not totaled out, it's repaired. All the insurance claims are in, and MMIA is handling our insurance claim.
Okay.
They are or are not.
They are.
They are.
So they have, sorry, stupid question. They have we have vehicle coverage through them?
Oh yeah. All of our coverage is there. Like our insurance for the buildings, all the property insurance,
Oh, okay.
and then workers' comp, all of our town insurance is through MMIA. It's like a group rating that way, all the municipalities. Here. Yep.
Yeah.
This conference will now be recorded.
Now go. All right. On to Public Works, which now we probably lost Eric because of. Susie, we'll go to you and then.
I just gave you a copy of my report at the last minute. I did email you my report from last time, the next day. Did y'all get it? Okay. So do you have any questions on anything that's on my report?
The
What does, go ahead, sorry.
RV compliance visited site and sent letter. What was that about?
Well,
Was that the trailer on the
Wait.
driveway up on Clark?
no, he actually, we did a conditional, what was it? Temporary
Use
use
permit.
permit.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
Is that this same thing?
No.
Oh,
So it actually is in the zoning code, that you're not allowed to live in RVs. So I was sent a list of 3 or 4 of them, that possibly they were living in them. I went and visited a couple of them, still sent a letter to them and asked them if they were, one, just had their satellite up, but they're living in the house and their satellite's up so they can ping off of it and use the satellite in their house. Another one said that they had just gotten back from a week-long camping trip and just had it set up to clean it. And then the other 2 I haven't been able to contact, so they were also sent a letter and given 10 days to comply. And over the 4th, I think, there's probably a lot of visitors coming in and camping at their,
They're not living, they're visiting.
yeah. So that's what that's about.
Do you want to explain more on the followed up with title company?
Will you continue to double check on those though?
Yes. Yes. So the title company, that's the project of the 24 properties. We had given, Nikki had given the lagoon one to Mr. Greenbaum to take, he took it to the title company, and then he's no longer working here, so I followed up with the title company. That has all been straightened out, even though, and I will have a report for you by next meeting on all of those properties. So it's all good. It's a good thing. That didn't answer the question, did it? But I think.
Yeah, the 24 that we were trying to identify as annexed officially in or not, and one of them being the town property of the lagoon.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the conditional use permit for Three Rivers? What location?
And hopefully the planning board will hear that on their next meeting in August, and then you'll hear it on your meeting on August. It's the property over on Conley Way, and it's zoned residential town density, and they want to put an office building in there. So under conditional use, it falls under essential services, actually. And so they put in for a conditional use permit to be able to do that.
Who's trying to do that?
Three
It's
Rivers.
3 Rivers.
Is it like by the shop or in the fenced in area?
It's the fenced-in area where that old garage is.
Mhm.
They're gonna tear that down and put an office building. It says in their conditional use that they're hoping to be able to staff it, to have one there for customers. Kind of nice.
Mhm.
But it does require a conditional use.
Any other questions for Susie?
I don't think so.
So is that it that's going in front of the planning board then? For next meeting?
Yes, that's all I have at this point. And the conditional use will have to go, for the planning board, I'll have to do the public notice for 2 weeks, so unless we get it real soon, we won't have time.
Can I just ask a question? When you do court, is that like an all day Monday thing?
Typically try to devote all day Monday.
Yeah. Okay.
We're not in court all day.
Right.
Mondays.
But you can do your paperwork and that kind of stuff.
John turns in the tickets on Mondays, so usually those are in the box ready to be entered, so we usually have tickets to enter on Mondays. And we do deposits whenever we get monies, but Typically, if there's anything through the weekend, we do them on Mondays.
Okay.
And Judge All Hands is typically here too, so lots of comments.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anything else? Going,
Dumb question.
okay.
So the Three Rivers conditional use permit, is that the old Myers place? That's the one up on Common, that's next to Colonel Christensen's.
Yes, right behind it.
That one.
Cream,
I don't think it's hers anymore.
no, I'm not by Karina Christensen. It's right behind them is the Three Rivers building now. And then they've got a dog-eared fence around it right now,
Yeah.
a slide thing.
Yeah.
What used to be the pink.
Yeah, it used to belong to Shopper, and we annexed it in town a couple years ago. That piece of property, because it was not annexed in. And I remember having a trailer on there.
Yes, okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm sitting there going, it had a trailer on it, we destroyed the trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is that.
I don't have the map with me, but.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure I remember it.
Okay.
Thank you, that's all. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.
Eric, is that you?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, what you got for us?
Well, I didn't really have time to do our part. It's just been real busy, but I mean, got a lot of potholes, road cuts fixed this month, and man, started mowing. I mean, sorry.
Thank you for you and your crew on the 4th, coming in and doing all the garbage and stuff. That's greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, the day off, it's not a day off, but thank you guys for coming in and taking care of that, and then coming in again the next morning and following up with all that. I really appreciate it.
I don't think it was too bad this year.
It wasn't. I really appreciated the chamber's effort.
It went really
was
nice.
amazing. They did a great job. And setting up the cones and hanging out and making sure that we had enough people for, I know I saw all 3 public works here on the morning of the 4th, just in case we didn't have enough for traffic control and stuff. So that everybody kind of did an extra all hands on deck just in case, so we could make it go off as smooth as we could. So thank you for that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just been real busy, and I just hadn't had time to get through a report today.
I know a lot of it too was finishing up the end of the year stuff with the rest area. There's been things on our want list, but we had to make sure that we had enough money to cover the cleaning and the toilet paper. And as those costs increased, see what we had left at the end. So you'll see like a partition that we've been finally. So guys, look forward to next year. You have a little bit more privacy in the men's bathroom. You don't have just a urinal out by the sink. So that'll be great. I think. I know when we painted, we all kind of saw that. Remember? So that'll be a nice addition.
It's on its way.
And then we'll start trying to figure out the same thing at the end of the year, replacing the other ones as they're starting to get, if we can. Over the years, replacing the next dividers. All right, perfect. Thank you, Eric.
Eric, this is Craig. I have a question for you. So are you intending to submit a report, or just no report for this month?
I will submit one to you. I'll do it tonight. I'll get you one out. I'm trying today. I spent half the day getting next week set up to fix our lagoon. That's coming starting Monday. I'm pumping that lagoon dry and replacing that valve down the bottom.
That's fine. I'm not trying to, I didn't ask to pressure you like I need one right away. I'm just saying if you plan to,
Absolutely. I'll get you one. And I think that's only reasonable. Yeah, no problem. Not at all.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Ginger, you're up. Ginger Crew.
I can tell you I got Eric turned in his budget and I got Karen's. So tomorrow I'll be doing more inputting on that, and I would say by next week I should have,
We should be pretty close on that.
I should have, be able to get something out to you. Preliminary, so we can look at.
So will that be the comprehensive budget preliminary, or is
Yeah.
it just like certain sections? Like,
It's a comprehensive, yes.
by that I mean, we'll have law enforcement section,
It's all
town
broken
clerks,
down into our
it's all-
sections. We don't have the official revenue. So it's our projected expenditure without actually knowing our revenue that we don't get until September,
August usually.
end of August.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like August, isn't
Yeah,
it?
we could get it in earlier.
It's the first shoot of
So,
September.
yes, it will.
Okay. And then, just, can you remind me when is the final approval of the budget due?
Except
3 days from the time you get the taxable value.
Say that again.
Okay.
It's 30 days from, is that
when
what
you
you
get the
said?
taxable value. So sometime in August, when we actually get the revenue, official revenue, the taxable value,
Yeah.
then we have 30 days.
30 days. Okay.
To readjust and cut or adjust. I don't know. You never know if it's more. It should be.
I don't think this is appropriate at this time. But is it possible to create a committee for budget? Like a finance committee, like we used to have?
Well, they did,
They looked at that stuff.
but I don't know. Myself, I think it's better for you to all have it.
I definitely agree.
And
I like the work session where it's open and public and
Oh no, I'm not saying that
Like that.
There's definitely no way that I'm going to say that we don't have all of us. We have to have all of us. But I was wondering if we could also have a finance committee that would regularly look at finances, like Brian used to do.
like Brian did the quarterly. Yeah,
Is that
so, well, that's post budget.
Yeah.
That's
okay, we can look at it as a part of when we do budget, doing a finance committee assignment. But we'll see.
But for just entering the budget numbers and whatnot,
I'm not, no, that 100% has to
No,
be.
we changed it. Like, I want to say it was almost 6 times last year, 8.
I just feel like if we had people reviewing it,
once it's put together.
yes.
Definitely.
That has to at least have an initial
Yeah, we're all gonna
timeframe,
take a
and
whack
you
at it,
like
right?
rely on the department heads
We're all
to
going to see it and take a,
Yeah,
Yes.
100%.
see what
But
they
if
need
we
and
have
if we
like
can make it
people
all work.
looking at it constantly all the time and reviewing it, then
All right, anything else in clerks?
No.
All
good
right,
job, Ginger.
for legal, this was one I was actually put on. We have to decide if we want a legal written report every month. I didn't have Mr. Guza attend this month. To figure out where we have our 6 hours, so it'll tie back into that. Do we want a written report? Or an online, or online?
so because he's working hourly, every month we're going to see a breakdown that's going to say he worked on this for 2
It'd be in
hours
claims. Yeah.
in claims, and this for 5 hours, and this for,
Mhm.
so that would lead to, I mean, a pretty good summary of what he's working on for us.
So you don't need a legal written report. Okay. I'm just
That's
trying
what I
to
think is,
streamline the use of time there. Okay. They are in contact. So I contacted Mr. Martin, thank you. And he is got all the contact information. He's our prosecuting attorney now, and he is got Susie's information for Clerk Jordan and Officer Moore, and back and forth. So they're all set up for theirs. We didn't have anything on the docket for the last 2 Mondays for him to have to come down for. No, but he offered to come down on the 8th, and I was like, nope. We'll save your drive time for when the next docket case is, and then I'll meet you officially in person. He did warn me that it might be in a sage jacket and pink socks because he likes to make an impression. So it was very good to speak with him. And then Mr. Guza, we're trying to figure out emails and how that's set up because we closed down the town attorney access to the previous, pulled all the cards, trying to get those updated.
Sorry, so prosecution, have we paid him anything yet?
No.
Just to get, okay, that's, okay.
And we're just using his email as the prosecuting. We're not setting up a separate one at this time. But we're still trying to figure that out because we pay
I have these questions.
$25 per email for our Gmails. Yeah, we actually, Google, it was in the last budget cycle. They changed the how many you can have in a group without it being free. So with the planning board, zoning board of adjustments, and the council staff, we were over, so now we pay for our email package.
How much over? I'm sorry, this, do you know how over on the council? Do you know where we are?
No, I don't. I know it became a discussion when we added planning board, and that was 7, so I don't know. Okay. All right, claims.
these two,
Can we,
those are good questions.
Thank you.
I didn't say it. What?
roll that off until the end of the meeting?
No, well, departments are here. I'll move to approve claims, right? So we can-
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion.
I just have a question, for the Olness and Associates, $500. Do we pay that annually or like every time?
That is the final that they send when everything is complete, Nikki, and they send everything
On top of the 20,000?
into the state. Yeah, but that is standard. I mean, that has been everywhere.
And then I have a question about the GPS mapping.
The auto.
No, I don't think so. This is peak water services.
So
Yeah.
last year's budget, yes,
I-
Eric. This is actually,
So last budget session, we budgeted in ArcGIS, but we was talking to a guy who came and helped us out with our blower when we put it in, and he showed me this new system. It's called Diamond Maps. It's super user friendly and only $50 a month rather than $130 a month. And you actually will own all the information that gets put on there. So we've actually started this and transported what we had from the old ArcGIS onto it. You know, it needs a little tweaking, but it's starting to look pretty good. I'm actually pretty excited about it.
so what it does is it overlays our maps for our service line, not our service lines, our water system and wastewater system. So that when we have to do a drill or a sample downtown, we're more accurate when we're trying to put it in somewhere.
This is also
And then it
something the whole
updates the
town can
hydrants
use.
and you can update their status. It's really, really cool. He was showing it to me.
But it's different than Onyx.
It is.
Okay.
So this is like a GIS overlay. Like the maps that we have in the hall that kind of show like the zoning. It's like that, but it overlays where the water and wastewater lines are in the system. And then we can add hydrants and serviceable and what else?
You
And
can put different layers, which
Yeah.
would be zoning, anything like that. You can put on this map, and it's not going to cost anything extra. This is unlimited users. Yeah, it seems like a really good, nice deal.
It's a
starting to
town
look
over,
pretty good.
not just Main Street, right?
It's all of
Yeah,
it.
the whole town.
And when we did budget last year, we priced out ArcGIS, wasn't it, Eric? And it
Yeah.
was
That was
100
$17,000 altogether to get going, but right now we're at, I mean, we need to purchase the geo that'll let me mark all our infrastructure within a foot radius, and we're still going to be less than 5,000-6,000. So we're coming out ahead on that.
Yeah, sounds like it's worth every penny.
and 11,000 less than we originally budgeted for, I think about. And then the monthly subscription is half.
It's twice as easy to use. It's great.
And
Good, thank you.
Yep.
I didn't think it did.
Yeah, it does. He actually clicked on, she showed it to me. He actually clicked on a certain area and it shows whether it's residential town density or whatever. So it did. I mean, we can add to it also. So, yeah, there's a few boundaries that aren't quite right, but.
We can get them adjusted.
Yeah.
So that bill was the initial setup, and that's a day of him coming up here and working with us once we get that geoed and helping out move stuff around too.
Do you recall what the monthly is?
$50. I think ArcGIS would have averaged out to 130 something, $33.
Okay.
And we own all the information forever. You'll always have it. You'll always have this map no matter what happens. Like ArcGIS, we just kind of, luckily somebody saved this information. Is the only reason we have it without paying them to get it again.
All right, any other questions on claims?
Yeah, I did. There's like $2,800 on there for, or a little less than that, for a traffic mirror.
Yeah.
Where is that?
Where is
What
it?
is
Yeah.
So that is gonna go down on, is that South Second? What am I saying?
North Second.
North Second. By the old bank, so you can see when people are crossing.
Sorry, thank you. That was
Oh,
on there too.
yeah,
but
on the
I
library.
didn't pull it up.
Yeah.
So where
What are we
will
planning
it
on doing?
mount?
There's an existing sign there, so it'll just go right on there. The 2,800 was also for signposts, and the mirror was like 300. So it was all from the same company.
You know, where the sidewalk comes from, from that big building that doesn't have anything in it,
Uh-huh.
and an old bank.
Yeah.
You can't see the sidewalk until you're running people over.
Yeah. Perfect.
So what are we putting there?
A mirror.
Giant mirror.
A guide mirror?
Giant mirror.
A giant mirror, okay. Okay.
It's not that big.
Other questions?
Yeah, what's overdrive? We spent $2,142 on it.
That's me.
Yep.
Overdrive is our book lease program, our ebook and audio book leases. And where that money comes from is tech money that we get from the state that actually pays for that.
Okay. Yeah, just had no clue.
Yeah.
And not for you, Chuck. Oh, you're good.
I think
Hats and fencing for Lisa Robert?
Corey.
Tree board.
That's for the tree board.
Okay. I was just like, why are we buying Lisa Robert hats?
Yeah. No, we had, I think, $3,200 in the tree board account, and we've spent almost all of it. So,
Did you buy any trees?
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I think
so-
like eight trees.
Okay.
Well,
something like that.
where did the little ones come from that the children came home with?
Those are from Cashman Nursery.
Somebody's yard.
So is that tree board?
It is.
I figured it was. I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna plant this tree, but now we have a tree.
Yeah.
That's named.
Congratulations.
That
Yes.
he now plans on using as a Christmas tree later. I've told him no.
I'm still looking
Outdoor
to saw
Christmas
you.
tree.
And it looks like we've spent $17,502 so far on the public works shed. Is that complete? Are we like in there? Like, what's the status?
It needs drywall, I know that.
And insulation.
We know a guy.
Yeah, hey.
If I may.
Yeah.
It's on site, it's here.
Uh-huh.
It has to be wired, insulated, and sheetrocked. But I believe that, Public Works is going to do the wiring, and then we'll have an electrician come to do the hookup. But they're gonna run the wire through the insulation, and I don't know about the sheetrock.
The drywall up there.
Is it connected to water at all?
No.
I think down the road, they're
Yeah.
gonna frame in a door in the back so that
Dirt.
it's accessible to this building.
Connect
But
straight in.
But they didn't really do watering.
So the question, that 17K number that you
Yeah, it
said,
looks like I
does that-
added them up.
Does that include the 12,500 for Montana sheds?
Yeah, I think the shed was in there. That was a 12,503. And then there were three charges of $1,666. Three of them to, was that all the concrete
That
work?
would be the concrete, and it was split up. There was 3 accounts paying for it, John.
Oh,
So
is that why?
that's
Yeah,
why
because
it's-
when we did the shed, it was water, sewer, and,
Then we're using building funds.
and then building fund.
That makes, I was
It was
just
the
wondering
three-way split.
why there were three charges for the same
Yeah,
amount.
so 3-way split out different.
Okay, that makes sense.
One invoice split between 3 accounts.
Yep.
Well, 4 on the invoice because there was the sidewalk repair as well.
And
Yeah.
they're still gonna come in even with the wiring and insulation and stuff. It looks like they're gonna come in under what they budgeted.
That's great.
It's 51,000 or 55.
Eric, help me.
Yeah, we should come in way under that.
What did you initially budget?
It was 17 throughout the 3, I believe.
Oh, yeah, 17
Water,
times
sewer, and,
building.
yeah.
So was it 53?
51.
Yep.
51.
Okay, go ahead.
Brandy?
Out of curiosity, it's a question that's been posed to me by the community, from the community.
No. Mike on?
It is on, just the
Oh.
lights. not.
Yeah, it's on.
This thing, the screen.
It's on. It's a question that's been posed to me from the community. Why didn't we just choose to convert the ambulance bay and tell the hospital to?
Is that claims? No, I'm just saying. We have a motion in a second on the
Sorry.
claims themselves. It's,
Oh.
Sure.
it's not that it's not valid and you can put it somewhere else. It's just, any other questions on claims? Okay. Whew. What about then? Commissioner Palmer?
Aye.
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 All right, claims approved. Public comment on non-agenda items.
Are listening. And I just want to thank Eric for mowing the lawn where the holding tank, non-used well, whatever it is, at Antelope Meadows is. That's my view every evening, so I really appreciate that getting taken care of.
Good evening. Myron Womble, Ennis, Montana. After further scrutiny of the failed audit of fiscal year 2022, I came across this bit of information. And this is straight off of the report. The audit exposed a critical lack of segregation of duties, a fundamental internal control designed to prevent errors and fraud. Limited personnel means transactions could be mishandled. Yet the town has not implemented necessary compensatory controls. Now, recalling the lack of accountability of unauthorized actions performed by the non-contracted attorney this past year brings questions. Obviously, this attorney was paid at will without prior approval from the governing body, town commission. Being a resident and taxpayer of the great community, I would adamantly suggest that a complete audit of the town of Ennis be completed. It would seem necessary to clear the air and find out exactly what condition the community's finances are. Now, on a different note, after reading the Madisonian, it was noted that the ex-attorney for the town of Ennis is still telling his tall tales. Needless to say, I'm hoping that the citizens of the community was not billed for this pathetic tale of woe. Same paper, the chief of PD related to checking speeds of big rigs going by Lions Park. Maybe you should try and find a spot that the traffic is rolling down the hill from Norris. Or is he spooked by monitoring the incoming traffic on Highway 287 from that direction? Good evening.
Hello, my name is Brittany Hirsch. I've got a couple things to comment on tonight. I'm going to start off with weeds. I've heard, I don't know if this is still true, but the town may still not employ anyone with a license to spray. However, there are alleys and right-of-ways throughout the town that are growing noxious weeds such as knapweed, which we have in the alley behind my house. I haven't inspected other alleys, but I know that we have them there. Perhaps it's time to contract that job out. Eric and his team are extremely busy, so I would think that it might be time to pass that on to someone else that does have a license, preferably someone local, rather than continue to neglect it altogether, which I think is a bold thing to do considering the town is sending official letters to property owners requesting that they manage their weeds and grasses. I'm sure there are others, but I know Dino Finelli is one person that could be an option for contracting this service. Along the same subject of weeds is the small park on Comley. Walking there to the mail earlier this week, I stopped there with 2 of my kiddos. We literally joke and call it Thistle Park. But in all honesty, the weeds are running rampant and have completely taken over the play area and are even starting to take off into the nice grass that's there. I'd like to see this park improved by at least removing the thistles rather than just mowing them down. Second item, I'd like to comment on the admin staffing for the town of Ennis. I've heard that there is an upcoming possible proposal, and just a couple years ago, I was deputy clerk for the town of Ennis for about 15 months. With that experience in mind and my growing concern for the direction the town is headed, due to severe lack of employee management, I do not believe there is any reason for there to be more than 2 full-time employees handling all encompassing duties of the clerk treasurer, utility clerk, and deputy clerk, which could and should include things like legislative assistance and even grant writing and grant management. Not only do I believe all of that could be done between 2 full-time, efficient, well-trained, well-managed employees, I also strongly feel that overtime should be a rare occasion, used for dire circumstances and not something that is nonchalantly approved due to lack of efficient processes and time management. It's time, and hopefully with the local government review that's coming up, it is actually long overdue for the town of Ennis to be managed by a town manager rather than a mayor that gets paid $800 per month, has their own full-time job, more than full-time job most of the time, and can only spend maybe a day a week in the office managing employees and handling all of their duties that are required by the mayor. I hope that when and if a proposal comes around to keep and or add more additional hours to the budget for clerks, it is denied, and in fact, it shouldn't even be on the table. The right thing to do, and the best thing to do, would be to put the right and best people for the job in the 2 current positions of deputy clerk and clerk treasurer so that the town can be operated efficiently and responsibly, spending the taxpayers' dollars well. Anyone that's ever been in any management role or owned a business knows that the worst thing you can do is just throw more man hours at a job. Stop putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from online? Public comment from online? Seeing no other public comment on agenda, we'll move on to unfinished business. Starting with the lead service line, we're coming on the coming closer to the deadline. So October is the final deadline for all lead service line inventory to be completed. Again, this is not a us mandate. This was mandated that the town perform this. Every town has to perform this lead line service inventory. We're a little over 50%, correct?
We're at 66% today.
And we've been at it for over a year. And now in the final leg with 33% to go.
What is the?
No, it's complete. Anything that is not turned in is assumed to be lead and then required to be replaced. And these are service lines, so the property owner would be responsible for a mandatory replacement of that line. So we're trying to get people to get this paperwork in. You fill out the form, then it goes to Maria's desk. Maria has to then convert it into which department? They have their own spreadsheet of data that then the forms have to be converted into. And then that is the final report that is sent out.
When is the final due date?
The 1st of October.
All right, so do we know all of the addresses that have not turned them in yet? Do we?
Yes.
Should.
We are actively working on those. We are not depending on
just
John Way or Corey Hardy to send their paperwork in. We're reaching out. We're getting it done.
The guys are scheduling appointments to go to help them out with the inspections.
Sure. I was gonna say, I mean, should we do a second mailing to just those addresses?
Mm-hmm.
So if they came to our business and it's reported back to you guys, we don't have to do the form, right?
If what? Say
If
that.
they came out to our business, like Kyle came and checked ours, I don't need to do the form, correct?
If you
But I still
completed
need
one
to do-
for you, then you don't need to do one.
If any questions, just call because we've got the full list.
You can call me and I can tell you if your address is complete.
Can we
Ask
put,
your neighbor.
yeah, can we put it on the reader board or in the Madisonian or something?
It's
Or-
been on there.
It's been on the reader for 2 months.
That and the Madisonian would be a good idea at this point.
Okay.
But if the form was sent email with pictures, everything's cool.
If you returned it that way, yes. So still close, and where we have the list and they're going and doing that, helping out with those inspections, I think we'll be really close to completion.
So what's our percentage?
66 right now. And we didn't start doing like call-in schedule inspections until March.
Went from just under 50% last year to 66. So, okay.
Do you think it was because of people who have second homes
You
here?
have more people home.
Yeah.
More people in the homes. So now is a pretty time to blast it in Madisonian. I think. It's on. the
Now that
website.
everybody's back, for sure.
Yeah, you only got 9, was it only 9 weeks, 10 weeks
Yeah.
to go?
So.
Is it all that rolled out now?
Mhm.
It was. It's been out there for weeks and weeks and weeks.
So we're getting closer. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. We can extend it, but no, we've been reaching out to all the ones that aren't completed. But I just keep leaving it on there, so we keep reminding everybody to turn them in if you haven't, or schedule, or if you're not sure, to just call.
I never got one for the liquor store. I'll stop in on Monday or something.
You don't think you got one?
I know I didn't get one for the liquor store. I got one at home and it went into the.
So for Bottle Barn, you
Mm-mm.
okay, I'll make a note.
Okay.
It went into it.
That place, the bin.
His facilities, is it just residential?
That's what I'm actually thinking, because the
I know.
list doesn't include all businesses, now that I think about it. Because I have one for the residential, but I don't have one for the business. I know I filled out a residential, but not a business.
I definitely got one.
But you got,
Oh, as a business.
And
yeah.
I got one for the
If you have-
shop on
have an
Main Street.
account, you
Okay.
pay a water bill, you have to show it.
oh, okay.
You didn't get one because you don't pay a water bill. So town pays your water. So what should we do? We'll take care of it. It's a public works. It's owned by the town.
Yeah. And I think one of the first questions was it built before 1992? The library was not. So we know it doesn't have a lead service line.
We never had lead service lines in the town.
No, we haven't.
But if we don't prove that, then we get.
Then they assume
We
it
have
is.
to have a form that says.
Yeah.
have it.
So, almost there. All right, now we have on to the sheriff's MOU. We have a new attorney to proceed and update. That is where that's at. He's asked for all documentation and a meeting to do a full debrief on that.
With the committee or with who?
He just had a full debrief, so we can do it. I would rather drive to Bozeman again, saving him a trip and 2 hours, $250 to drive up to Bozeman to meet Mr. Guza then. You can always do a go-to meeting, but when you're going with that stack of documents, it's best to be an in-person
When do you want to go to Bozeman?
debrief.
I think we have to get this, we need that information from Helena, so we need our lawyer on board to.
You two pick a day, preferably a Monday or a Friday. I have extra people that I can.
Is it just the committee?
Yes.
You said preferably a Monday or a Friday?
But I I can pull in another employee if I need to. I'll just have to get it.
This Monday.
No. Sorry. I have a child getting a number. So, no. I do love this Monday, but, or if you two want to, you sure can. Like,
Can we like, do we have to decide right this second when we're
No.
going? Okay. 'Cause I
You let me know
have several different calendars, unfortunately.
and get you his contact information, all that. So that's the proceed is with an updated ag opinion. Or just attorney's opinion.
Yeah.
Is he gonna receive all current communications
Mhm.
that with the attorney?
A big scanned packet is what I've got ready. All right, so that's where that's at. Now on to scheduled. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. So Green Mom had said that they reached out again and had requested another letter. That was never sent, right?
No.
So they'll be expecting this one from Mr. Kiesa.
Well, from the town and as our representing attorney.
Okay. I think I was going somewhere else, but I can't remember.
Yes. Yes.
As my follow-up question, you and John Way, you were on this committee. We will be excluded from this conversation, apparently. Will you report back to us?
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on that one?
No.
All right. 2 contracts are the first. So the master on-call service agreement with Great West was initially a 5-year contract with the option to extend for an additional 3 years. So the master on-call services agreement is a no payment contract that says we can add task orders and then define those for later. And then like the next example is the general task. Well, how do I put this? General task has master on call, task number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The exhibit A's, B's, C's are those task 6, task 7, task 8s. The master on call says if there's intermediate things that come up, they will service those smaller intermediate things. Examples of that is when we do MFEs, multiple facilities exclusions. We haven't done one in a while. I haven't seen one since my first year, but I know you have to have an engineer review those and sign off on those. So Colette's done those for us typically. Eric had Great West come up 2 weeks ago because he had concerns about the lift station and capacity, and they did some capacity tests and stuff on that. That was all under the master on call. Like these are little tasks. They're not part of a water PER. That was task 7. And so was the wastewater was under task 7. Those are specific larger contracts and those are separate. This is we're using them for the next 3 years for the smaller things that come along, like the MFEs and a quick call. Like Dan came down McCullough after the park got wiped out once. I think my first year, because there was concern about the bridges. So he did a free swing through as part of the master on call to give his professional opinion as to the integrity of the bridges down at the Lions Club Park, things like that. So this is just an extension of that contract for 3 years.
I make a motion to approve the master on-call service agreement.
I'll second.
Okay. Any other questions?
So there's never any fees?
Not in that one. When we break down.
It's the next one.
It's the next when you do general services.
This task order number 6 is kind of scaring me.
Is there any reason why we wouldn't get another estimate from another engineering firm?
For the master on call?
For either one of these?
I mean, we could, I guess, since it's a
contract.
$0, I could get another estimate. We could have another one. We've chosen them to do the water and wastewater, and
It kind of makes sense to stick with them.
they've been,
We have bid it out in the past, Corey, and Great West Engineering has been the cheapest provider for us.
Cheapest is not always the best.
I didn't say they were the best, but we've been working with them for almost
since early 90s or longer.
I guess one thing I want to bring up, I was talking with former mayor Blake, that I feel like we've been trying to get additional water for almost 10 years now, and we kind of rely on these guys to facilitate a lot of this process. And I know we have kind of a plan in place, but I don't know.
It's not a bad discussion. It's actually a very valid point.
I'm just curious what another engineering firm would be like. Yeah, I'll get this done right now, or.
Was that firm released to do that before now? Was Great West ever released and said, let's do this? I don't believe we did.
Probably not, yeah.
And we had to wait for years to line up so we could apply for grant funding and stuff, right? Like it's.
Yeah, I mean, technically, we don't have the money to do it right now.
That's true too.
Technically.
It's not funny.
So do we have
It's just a thought.
do we have the $0 on-call service agreement with them because part of the reason is we have that is because we have the general service contract with them as well?
Probably.
Correct.
Yeah. So if we were like split that, then
We lose all this.
Yeah.
Right, you would want to have the same firm doing both.
So is it a possibility to put it out to bid? Is that what you guys are asking for?
I'm not asking for that.
I'm not either, because that would be if
I think
you'd have to bid
we
everything.
call the question and prove the darn thing.
And it's not specific to
Yeah.
anything.
Was that
I mean,
a
I
call
guess-
question?
Yeah, it was.
All right. Lori?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. Get that signed and sent over. And the next is for specifically task order 6. So that's the general services. So the original task order 6 was for 5,000. Since August of 21, we've had 14,151 spent on this task order. The amendment is to cover the difference and increase the amount for the anticipated, what we think we're going to need between 24 and 25 to the 19,151. These are the additional calls for, like, what was the last thing that we used that they built a small amount for? I want to say it was
Something for the well.
no, I want to say it was CDBG. So they do a lot of our, like, a quick grant if they come up, like in the slower grants in the legislative grant cycles. When things come up, they give us a quick hand with the CDBGs because they've done a lot with those. They helped the hospital and us with the last one. It didn't go through, but we still got Craig Erickson for that. I'm trying to think of another one for general task. We'd have to look through claims. Most of our last task orders have been 7. They are all under the water system task.
According to the PERS.
Yes. And then we'll have a different task order as well next year because we have floodplain. So we'll have another one of these, and we can look at somebody else if you want to do a different company for floodplain, but there's that. What I really like about all the crew at Great West, when you do work in a community, as long as you identify the uniqueness of its character. And specifically, when I was talking with Craig Erickson about specifically the growth policy, there was a lot of good advice in that Madison County is opinionated, which is what it is. So make sure that no matter who you choose and what you choose, do a lot of outreach because it's in your best benefit. They know that because they've done multiple master plan growth policies in the area. So I'd like to continue, especially in the general, if we want to look at specific. I mean, we'll have a contract open here shortly for the growth policy itself. We'll have a selection committee chosen and let them look at who puts in for proposals there. But for general task, they're very quick to get back to us on topics.
Joel's worked with us for like 20 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Colette's relatively new, but still she's been.
And Dan and Jerry and
I'm gonna say,
Yeah, I mean, those are the just.
Jeremiah.
man, I've been with Cam
Floodplain.
for like 10 years.
I think it's a good relationship and I don't see it as being broken yet.
So this would expand the general task. And split it up over, so it still comes to approximately 5,000 split over those years.
So it's gonna only increase the budget for like $5,000?
No, we still put the whole amount in. As it's an amendment no, this is an amendment. Projected with the finishing up of all the miscellaneous, the ARPA funds, all of those that aren't specific into floodplain, specifically what we've designed so far in the PER. And then all of that, those next steps, we're going to have to go out for bid when we start the contracting process to actually, if we get the grants, then we have to go through a whole other contract bid process for those projects as well.
You have a motion at this time? I'll move.
Go ahead if you want to.
I'll move to accept this from Great West.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, what do you guys want to do? Discuss. And we usually split this amount typically gets split between different departments as we do it. It's not just one. We have it in professional services split between general, a lot of public works, mostly. All right, we're back to Mr.
Aye.
Adam. All right. On to the next. So a committee needs to be appointed for the RFP, the request for proposal, evaluation, selection. So we are going to choose a company to finish the growth policy with the grant funding that we got from 819. And as one of the requirements of 819, you have to have a 5-person selection committee to review that RFP. Now, I looked at some examples of the RFPs they've gotten so far, and I will tell you right now that that is over my head, and I will be asking Mr. Duda for help in writing that request on what we're looking for once we coordinate with with the planning board. Because they have done a lot of pre-work on the growth policy, and they have it narrowed down as to what they specifically need for help in finishing. So we'll put that in as the request. What the planning board is actually thinks they need help with is to finalize a growth policy. And then a 5-person committee will review all proposals that we receive once we submit for those. So those that have been most involved and have helped pre-select before. So Craig's on the planning board, so I'd like to choose a committee of 5 to be Craig, Abernathy, Corey Hardy, because he's been through the process of searching for another company with Cushing Terrell for the master plan. Leona Sedgwick, Lyndon, the chair of the planning board, and Dave Berryman, because he's worked with contacts before as well. Those would be my preferred appointments for that committee.
So
With approval of the company.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, discuss.
Was Lisa interested in doing that? Or was that different?
No, that's
So.
Oh, no, but there was
Craig, Corey, Lyndon,
Leona and Dave.
Is everybody on the planning board except these two?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm
Craig
on the planning board. So the only one that's not on the planning, already on the planning.
would be Corey Hardy. Okay.
Is that how it's supposed to be composed?
It doesn't have specifications.
Okay.
But where they know where they've identified their gaps. Leona's done a lot of growth policy updates and subdivision regulations and working with professional companies to do updates with those. I think that's a good candidate. I know Dave's done a lot of contracting as well. And I'm throwing you in there too. Like maybe you've done a little bit of that. Once or twice.
Is everybody on board with it so far, or has it been run by them?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, we talked about
No, not a, we know that it's coming, but we, as far as who the committee members will consist of, has not. I don't expect anybody to.
So just to be clear, it's easy.
Can it be
So,
altered? Can the committee be changed? Yeah, I mean, at some point.
Yeah.
And hearing.
It's the selection committee, evaluation and selection.
So I think what we did last time, we actually had all the engineering firms attend virtually and just had a question and answer session.
And with that lineup, 1, 2, 3, 4, it also creates a public, or not a public, it requires a meeting notice. So it will be recorded so that there's public participation. Mm-hmm. We'll go through the actual selection and evaluation. All right. What was that? So.
Aye.
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 All right, after speaking with Mr. Guzza, he, was very amiable to all of our, conditions from last meeting, regarding the contract. So I signed the initial with the conditions. I did have him add a modification clause in there so that he could, the contract could be modified only with your approval, because he had concerns about the cap because they've never done it in their office before for any of their other clients. And he's very concerned that, especially on the initial, that it may take more than the 6 hours.
So it gets everything lined out.
So it gets everything lined out. So I put this on there if he would like to modify the cap number as his concerns. He's like, we could always try it and see how it goes. But where they only go every 30 days, and if something larger comes up, then he's afraid that he has to just sit for 30 days.
Right. Where, with you having already looked at budgeting, where do you feel would be an acceptable? I mean, it's not like we're probably realistically not for the whole year. Like I would say, it would be 3 months before he's broken in. I would think, I don't know.
How about this? How about we make a motion to allow Mr. Guzza to run over his $2,000 or 6 hours for 3 months, the first 3 months. That should give him enough wiggle room to get on board, and then we can talk after that. But the first 3 months is, front loading the workload. I mean, he's got the attorney general thing, he's got the sheriff department, all that to get up to speed.
You've had enough time to get him through those 3 months?
Should be. Get up to speed.
Well, right, but you're charging us for that, right?
Yeah.
You want to give them enough to exceed
I'm just spitballing ideas.
Yeah, because one of the addendums that I was thinking was to give them a six-month trial period.
Well, there's the combination clause every
Yeah.
I don't think like a 6 month trial is necessary. I think you can modify it exactly. And he's never done it before, and we've never done it before, so.
Well, we've never worked with him, but he's actually done this with other communities before. But this isn't his first rodeo.
But he's never had a capped fee, like he paid.
That's the only difference.
Yeah, so he does a lot of municipality, but he's not sure how that's gonna work in his office. So he's got concerns that if it's strict in the contract without a modification, that his hands are gonna get tied at a point without calling like an emergency meeting for an increase.
Yeah, I think we just need to be aware of how much money's being spent. I mean, yeah.
And that,
cap.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. And that's all we wanted was to be aware of how much money's being spent. I still think let's give them 3 months and, and I like,
Well, if we don't want to give them a cap, then probably don't want to give them an NTE, so not to exceed.
Well, not to,
yeah,
like,
that's
that's
what I mean.
that's
Put a,
fair, like.
so for
Ask him to
3 months.
stay within 1,500, but if he has to exceed it.
Well, you don't want to cap it at 1,500, that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
You want to cap it at 1,500, maybe like 3,000 or 4,000.
So it's 6 hours a month. So for 3 months, be 18. Let's just double that. Not to exceed. That's 18 times 2. That's gonna be too much sun today. Huh? So it'd be 32. Not to exceed 32 hours in 3 months.
I have no idea
I
how
think
long
that-
it'll take.
I think, well, I mean, that,
It
like
debrief
the
meeting
fire
is-
under.
It's the travel that gets me. It's like when I said we have to debrief, he's like, I can come down. I'm like, no, I will save us 2 hours. I will drive up to Bozeman. Thank
Well, maybe
you
he's
for
on-
that 2 hours. We need that for.
Maybe
actual-
he's on his way to Hartwell, or maybe he's on his way to Dillon, or maybe.
I will be conservative and drive to Bozeman and then pick up my groceries afterwards.
That's what I'm gonna say. That's a Costco trip.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do we?
I mean, so you could cap it and then you could request for more funds. basically. You have to have a vote.
But he said there's no other town that does it and how they budget. So how do we? Do you remove?
I mean, does it even? It probably.
You can remove it and then add it in 3 months if we know that we're going way over, or we still have to set the legal budget, and if that's what we have, and that's what we have. So I guess, like next August, if we don't, or next June, we're out of money. We're
out of money.
we're like, well, I guess he's not working on that new ordinance.
But not everything's gonna be handled by him either, right? Since he has legal associates that'll help to.
Right. And there's a different pricing, but we don't know how that's gonna work.
Right.
He doesn't know how it's gonna work trying to bill every 30 days or having it capped.
Well, but this probably isn't his first rodeo either. Like, he's obviously worked with other municipalities that were probably in the same situation. So I think he's gonna be respectful of our funding, lack of funding. Maybe, I don't know.
He did say he would do it remotely, so.
And if he's not attending every single meeting for 4 hours, that's gonna save a lot.
Well, that's what, when we hadn't approved any modifications, so I didn't ask him to be at the meeting, because if we didn't, I didn't want to use up the time, because I know we need him for several other things right now.
So I think there was something in his contract, something about the on-call. Yes?
No. On call?
Something about that.
Like, on the days that we have meetings, he said that he might be able to be on call.
If we,
Yeah.
they can be available.
I just don't want to tie his hands, especially like in the first time.
Right.
No, I
Give
don't
him
know.
the ability to flex his wings and show what him and his associates can really do. And then we'll know exactly what a budget picture is gonna, a more accurate budget picture.
Yeah, not to exceed, not to exceed.
Not to exceed 32 hours.
Not to exceed 32 hours.
Okay.
I'll make a formal motion.
But it's 36.
36 hours, great.
Okay, so you're making that.
I move that our new attorney not to exceed 36 hours in the first 3 months. And what?
Each month or all?
Total, 3 months
Total.
total.
Because we have them for 6 hours a month, right?
Theoretically is what the cost would be.
Yeah, that's what it came to, correct?
Yeah,
So,
that's doubling it.
yeah,
For 12.
yep. Do you think that's enough? I don't know. Let's do this. We're gonna meet with them here in the next 30 days. If we get a sense that it's just not gonna work like that, then
You can
we'll come back and chat with everybody about it.
So
Is that
remove all remove that portion out of the.
Yeah, let's just remove it. I'm fine with that. Let's remove it for the first 3 months. And if it becomes a problem, we'll all chat about it and come up with a plan.
Sure, I think it's good to set expectations, but if you set them too high, you might come through with those high expectations.
That's
Sure, I
kind of,
can block that
that's
out.
my biggest concern is that almost might be only 2 months.
He's not bad at what he does if he's representing 4 other municipalities. He's obviously very good at what he does. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna take
I like
advantage.
the, I guess it's just 3 months without any.
No cap and.
And then then that'll give us a really accurate picture for if there needs to be. So
That
to spend,
actually, that
to spend
does
the
actually work. It does actually show, it paints a picture as to whether or not he's just gonna, I guess, go for the full role.
When you, in your next communication, can you just share with him? We're still trying to think this out financially. We're trying to be conservative, but we trust what you
we
need to
had
do.
that discussion.
Okay.
And that's exactly like, that's why we had it in there, because we had concerns, we haven't done it this way in a while. So, but he should express Like, I'm totally willing to give it a try, and my office is 100% willing to do this. I don't do this with any other town. That doesn't mean it can't be done. But I do have consensus testing it on initial startup, which just sits out. So I like, if there's a motion on the floor for suspending that month, or the cap for 3 months, that would probably.
Yeah, I'll move to do this instead of fast and Mr. Guzzo for 3 months.
Second.
With the addendum of nothing. I thought you said 36 hours.
No.
No,
No,
we're
we're
taking
just-
that off completely.
And then 3 months from now, we'll have an idea, and we'll all sit around and we'll talk about it and go back. Is 6 hours enough? No, we probably need to, 6 hours is more than enough.
Because then we'll know a little bit more about prosecution too and how much he's gonna be using too. Like it's, yeah.
Makes sense.
Motion second, so we're voting here?
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm not looking at you.
Aye.
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 All right, Commissioner reports. You're out of absence.
Okay, well, planning board met, this past Tuesday on the 9th. Most of the meeting was a training session with Danny Arps from, MSU? No,
Department of Commerce.
or Department of Commerce, sorry. Anyway, she just did a presentation, of the website that just about any one of us could go on to, and all the forms and publications that are available to assist in planners. We just kind of had a discussion back and forth. It was I think a pretty good training session, actually. It was more information than actual training. Here's what you do. It was more of here's where you can go to find this kind of information or that kind of information on the website.
And those websites have training videos as well, don't
They do. There's lots of videos and
Susie sends me.
a lot of stuff.
What is the website?
I don't have, I can send it to you. It's like Montana Association of Planners, I think,
And I have a
Planners Handbook
presentation.
and stuff. Yeah,
So I'll send it to all of you. The presentation that Danny gave, I'll send it to you.
yeah. I'm probably gonna mispronounce her last name. Mickey Zucker, I think it was, with Montana Main Street was also here. And she just did a real short, really about 10-minute discussion or 10-15-minute discussion, that essentially said she, would love for Ennis to be, part of that whole Montana Main Street, group. But there's regular reporting and updates that are required to be done. So
With the chamber, right?
with the chamber, yeah. So it's like a monthly report. If you want to be part of this, you have to, be religious on the reporting. Is it quarterly? Again, okay. So that was pretty quick. We also understand that we got a lot of the growth policy questionnaires that were sent out have come back. I don't have an actual count, but I know they're in the front office. We haven't seen them yet, but the next step would be to grab those and start compiling them into a spreadsheet so we can start looking at some numbers.
Mr. Barrett was talking those out.
Did he? Okay, great. So I think he's going to start working on a spreadsheet to compile all that information. I don't have a completion date yet, but I'm assuming it'll be before our next meeting next month. And then the other thing we just kind of touched on was the RFP for the growth policy that we just talked about. And that was pretty much it. It's a short meeting.
On those things you sent out for growth policy, if we have multiple, you just want one or one for each property?
Oh,
Maybe you could have a couple at the shop for a local, that didn't fill it out.
you could. I don't know if you wanted. The idea is I think was one per person.
Okay.
But anyhow, if you have extra and somebody would like to fill one out and has it already, then Please do. That'd be great. That was all I had.
Thank you.
Sure.
School resource officer, we kind of got that nailed down. You'll see that hopefully next meeting. The pickleball natives are getting restless.
I know, I talked with Joel and we had to, submit for is it the loan? What was the last part that we, not loan?
And this is for that
Give
portion
me
of the
a-
river.
For the site plan, originally Great West was supposed to give us
And Joel's gonna be the one to do that, and we ran into the document that we had to modify for submission.
Oh, that was our CDBG grant.
No. This month, it was in your clerk's report. Oh my gosh, I don't have it in front of me. Anyway, Joel has been buried with these, and he said, I swear, I'm almost ready for this discussion.
almost ready like in an hour.
I think all of the submissions are finally through. So I think like next week he is ready. And their office is moving at the same time.
Okay.
Because I couldn't get a hold of Colette last week, which was weird because it's usually like 5 minutes. And she calls me back and she's like, yeah, we are completely rearranging and moving our office. And we are all not as quick as we normally are, which I didn't know that they were moving.
Would it be bad? I mean, I'm getting a lot of, as I said, the natives are restless on that, and I want to feed them a little steak to keep them quiet. Is there, I know.
The speed of government.
But is
Good
there any way I
phrase.
can talk to those folks and like, we can just talk about this so we can.
And carts and horses, and I don't know what the appropriate thing there is. Like, we have a whole agreement with the Lions Club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if there's any major improvement, it comes before
Yeah.
the council, as it's our land and this, that, and the other. We haven't, as a council, officially like, but then who has the site plan and can you do it? You know, carts and horses. Well,
Right.
so what if we call Joel and set up a meeting for pickleball and Joel and.
Great.
Okay.
And this is on the.
And Public Works, because Eric is very concerned about if we need this to be a well field, what the long-term ramifications are going to be. So that all of his concerns are heard.
It's a good idea.
The pickleball was approved down there, but not at a different.
Yeah, it hadn't been approved.
It has not been approved out here. That we're getting the site plan so we could see if it is possible.
Feasible.
How, do you know that, what's the acreage of that? It's not even an acre, right?
2.7.
Oh, it is.
2.7? Somewhere in that.
Bigger than I thought.
Right.
Which is not 3.
It's close.
So I also met with the SRO committee and then missed my library meeting last month, so I'm super excited to be there tomorrow, and that's all I've got. 2.
I had a lovely month. I've spent all month talking to figureheads, Dan Clark, Derek Shepard, going over HR complaints, legal matters, SRO contracts, MOUs, MOAs, trying to figure out that. Working on our our contracts for our actual attorney, getting that set up, lined up, and how that should be addressed and written. And I really do thank you, all of you, for helping and assisting in that, 'cause that's exhausting.
Have you set a date for a meeting with Miss Roberts so that we can start getting
I have
the park
actually
figured
not.
out?
I have actually not, but no, I actually haven't, but I was going to address that because it was brought up that you guys wanted to work on the common part. I would like to go back to my original working on the common part, and I don't have a problem working on that part as well, both parts, if that would please the council.
I think we need a park party. We did a painting party. I think we should go wee things. But Miss Hankins and I talked about this the last time we did it late evenings, and we decided it's too hot to do it now. So, it might have to be either really late for any of us to not be super sweaty about it. So yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the plan there. So we got the pollinator garden over here that we. The mound strips are the pollination stuff, so we can have a. I live semi-kitty corner into it also.
I do apologize. I actually haven't gotten together.
I'm just worried about at least an initial budgetary number for parks.
I completely understand that, and I would actually.
And so kind of regardless, I'm probably stepping on toes. I'm budgeting for the fence there because at least that gives it a defined area. And I think
You
no
wanna
matter
put
what you do, a wooden fence there will add the privacy to create a space, and then you can decide within that space how you want to decorate the fence, do the fence, whatever. But
no, down
at Granny Ennis,
Grandma's part.
the posts are set and it looks very, very unfinished, and then it at least defines the property and doesn't allow for the dark alley type situation.
No idea.
So at least the fence will be in there. And you can decide what to put within the boundary, but it could probably be fence.
I might have some additional fence that is being donated to the History Association that I might be able to donate.
We'll go through the projects and budget, but it'd be nice to at least have a ballpark of some ideas for those. I mean, if you have any, but but we can always modify it.
That's all I have.
So I've talked regarding food trucks, a handful of businesses in town, Not Your Mama's, Picnic Basket, Scott Kelly. We need to reach out to Kurt as well. Done that yet. These people have actually reached out to me, just getting a conversation going. We had one previously that just like kind of left, kind of even that playing field of they have to pull a business license for $50, and what do they do after that? Basically, and that's just kind of the conversation. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to seek out individuals that are, all about or that own food trucks and individuals that don't own food trucks that feel threatened by them. So if you guys know of anyone, send them my direction and I'll facilitate conversation with them. Our farmers market is going absolutely nuts Right now, I think we have like 31 vendors this weekend, possibly 30 last weekend, all record numbers. There have been a few fights, but I've put the fires out. So, and I am Ennis's new assistant cross country coach. So for the high school. Yeah, and ultimately, I guess I can wait for unscheduled matters for my final comment.
So can I ask a question? What is your proposition for the food trucks? I mean, they're allowed.
Sure, I'm not proposing anything. I'm just getting a discussion going on, brick and mortar businesses that potentially fill, I guess this is a perfect example out in front of Picnic Basket. There's a parking lot out there and it's owned by Schicchetti. Ken Schicchetti, and Ken rented it out to a food truck owner, and that's right in front of Zara's brick and mortar business. Zara buys a business license for $50. This food truck buys a business license for $50. Bozeman has a gazillion rules regarding these things. So how do you,
I guess
what's fair?
the difference is that the brick and mortar, they still have to pay their property taxes.
Exactly, sorry, yeah, that's definitely a huge part of it. You have tax-paying citizens, and then you have random food truck owner that doesn't provide waste receptacles or pay for those waste receptacles, or water and sewer as well. So those, there's a lot of arguments to be made about it, but it's ultimately just a discussion at this point. I felt like we had made headway previously, and then I think Christy Ranson resigned. She currently owns a food truck. Sherry Shows from the Picnic Basket owns a food truck. She used to own the Picnic Basket. Both the current owner of the Picnic Basket does not own one. Scott Kelly does not have one either. So, but there's a lot of different viewpoints regarding. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that was, thank you, you're taking on food trucks,
Well, I would like to hear from you too. You're a brick and mortar business as well.
I am. But like I said in the past, I would like. Sorry. Like I said, I really do respect that, and I think it's something that we do need to look into. I agree with him. It's something we need to examine. I'm not saying that we can take any action on it, but it's also, I'd like to look at Airbnbs and RV, whatever those things are.
Sure.
Yeah. Those are things that I'd like to take on. I think we as a council, we should all kind of look into things that might be impactful to us.
So Corey, is it
Sorry,
just
Corey.
is the concern with having the food truck and in a close proximity to a brick and mortar food establishment? Like you don't want somebody parking a food truck right outside your door, but if they were, a quarter mile down the road or something, is that really the issue? Is food trucks parking just really anywhere in front of another business type of thing?
It has to be on private property.
And those private property owners probably pay taxes. So if it's their choice
to do things. And I guess my opinion would be like, how is it different than starting a restaurant right next to a restaurant? But people ask me all the time, like, are you upset that there's mobile mechanics? No, there is a need for service. Like, if there's a need, a business will do well. And I wonder at what point the government as an entity starts interfering for a reason that's not public safety, health, welfare. Like, I understand regulating like the requirement of a trash receptacle and maybe a money requirement if they're an out of town, out of area truck that is going to drop off at the dump, because our dump only requires, and all Madison County pays for it. But as to, you can't operate, we don't allow anybody to operate on town property for business other than if there's specific encroachment permit for events or special events.
The issues that come down with the
So,
food trucks come down to like, okay, there's one health inspector for all of Madison County, and then they are mobile, so they can move their property and then not be
you just, but to have a
inspected.
business license, you have to have a county health inspection. We have them, we look and see if you have that. And I guess I look at the county health inspection almost like a reciprocity for my EMT license. If you have a county health inspection in Bozeman and you drove 56 miles, is it no longer valid?
No.
It's the same health requirements in Bozeman as it is here. The Bozeman ones are very intense. It's kind of like the high bar. If you pass Bozeman's, I think like you're good, because you also have to have an inspection from the fire department from Bozeman, a city inspection, a county inspection. They have a lot of inspections. And the only way that you're gonna control where location, in my mind, is still through zoning, because it's a business, right? So that's the only thing I can say there. It's no different than the short-term rentals. Like, the only way you can actually regulate that in any kind of fashion is through where you can and cannot regulate a business in the zoning.
No. Probably a generator running the thing, I guess. Water.
Probably like an RV where they have a gray tank, you know.
They do. That's exactly what it is. So they have to pay to dump somewhere. Mm-mm. It's not. So it'll be, I know we looked at a lot of other places.
It is an ongoing conversation that we need to have. Possibly.
What else you got?
Thanks a lot, Corey.
I guess ultimately the other thing I had was just doing having a work meeting with the budget auditor, all of us, but that's what I'll put in for an unscheduled matter.
Okay. You good? Moving on. Thank you. All right. So, I did an initial follow-up before the Willie's T&D and met with Matt regarding some of the concerns about pre-treat requirements. We've gone to following up with them and doing some additional testing at that location. They've been super receptive to any kind of recommendations that Eric's made thus far. The next thing, and this feels like forever ago since that moment, was phishing email. And I'm bringing it up because now that we've started to hit, it's not you, this was actually perfect timing. So MMIA did a great training that after you start to receive grants and grants are released, especially state grants, that's when the phishing emails start because they know that you're going to get finances released to you. So they will, all of our little scammers are going to start sending phishing emails. And there was a town in Idaho that lost all of a grant money section to a phishing email. So Susie had one.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. It looked like Eric was trying to get her to change her payroll around, but Eric knew nothing about it. And so remember, hover, especially if it just looks odd. And if you want, no, it said Eric Olson and then it had a strange email, but only if you hover did you see it. And so in our system, I had IT show me how it works. When those happen, they're automatically flagged. So she knew it, but it also flagged in IT administration as you've never gotten anything from this person before. So he also reviews just that it's an outside source that we've never gotten an email for. And it looks suspicious. Like if it's sent to a whole large group of a listserv or a partial listserv, it alerts to it under Gmail's admin portion. It doesn't open the email for IT to read. It just flags that there is a suspicious spam that occurred. Does that make sense? So MMIA on their website, they have a training video for cybersecurity, and it's just a good time to remind everybody that with us receiving grant funds, that just be more cautious that somebody's not like, hey, your grant's been awarded. We just need some additional information from you.
Your personal social security.
If you just send us 10,000, we'll send you 100. No, however they get to it. So. And then next was the concerns regarding crosswalks. So I followed up with Todd Foss regarding the potential flags to cross the initial Lions Club that group decided that wasn't something they wanted to pursue. That would require an encroachment permit. They said they're probably not as likely to want to issue that encroachment permit as they would like to do a more permanent fix.
Like flashers?
Yes. So that's where that's at. So then I started pricing out flashers. So those are about 12,000 a piece. Was what it was. Yeah. I asked if there was funds available and they said not at this time. So I did ask. And so I forwarded you all an email from Montana League and MMIA, and there's a specific section in there that had like a tourism piece that I thought it was a special legislative grant that was released that maybe it's due in September, but before I kind of pursued it, I was wondering thoughts about trying to pursue that grant as we have tourists that walk both sides and we'd like them to do so safely, and could we get some help with paying for those?
So there really isn't a way just to do as Kim suggested where we just put red flags on a pole and then that's really cheap. You still have to have an encroachment permit.
Not either way that you want to go. If you want to do just carry flags across, you have to do an encroachment. And if you want to do a more permanent flashing fixture. I know this is like, I can't really stop. If you just put like a little basket full of flags in it, how is that going to be first? They own everything to this, the sidewalk. That's true, they do own the, yeah, that's that. They own.
Who thinks that?
Yeah.
I mean, they do it in Idaho. I've seen before. But I mean, if we can put parklets in, surely we can sample like flags on crosswalk.
Really wanted to bring that up too. I'm sure up for trying to put an encroachment in a trial.
Yeah.
But I was just seeing that small legislative grant as maybe an opportunity to have a longer, a more sustainable fix. And that spot is super sneaky. I do too. That one's really bad too. Yeah. I think
they're all absolutely ridiculous. We did an active communities workshop, and the thing that worked the best was doing like a curb extension, and you lose a couple of parking spaces, but a curb extension is basically kind of an extension of it kind of narrows the street. It allows the pedestrian to walk up in behind a sign that's right there, so they're not like sneaking out there with nothing in front of them to protect them.
Technically, we really can't. It's actually a DOT problem. And
you can do a mock-up.
We
did parklets. You can do curb extension setup. So.
Or mini cars can only park in the first two spots. And you can't have big.
Yeah, something to that degree. It's line of sight. Like we were on this field trip, and a car came to a screeching halt with a pedestrian out in front of the long grant, the silver dollar. And he's like, case in point, right there. You know, it doesn't. All those crosswalks suck. So.
I don't love the idea of a flag because I'm maybe just an odd example, but like I'm holding the toddler's hand, I'm pushing a stroller, like I don't have.
You don't have a hand.
I don't have a hand. So I know it could work for a lot of people, probably the majority, so I'm on now, but I feel like flashing lights, like I see them when I go places, and when I don't see people, I'm like, oh, there's flashing light over here, I need to run for a human about to cross.
Well, the toddlers are almost I just made it the toddler, so there was okay, so I think at this point, Karen has expressed interest in assisting with looking at solutions. And so has Karina Christensen and other, not as part of the Lions Club. So we'll get together, kind of give some options. This was just my initial, what I was doing to figure out where's our diving board start point. So I think that that's probably the most appropriate point is what's our short term, what's our long term goals. Do we need to look at this before September for the grant? I mean, if there's that grant opportunity and it's a legislative one that's not going to come up every time, is it something? So we'll kind of discuss and have a preliminary. The grant didn't look horribly complicated, so, and now we have some on-call, so we can maybe have some help getting it through if we want to do that. Okay?
Did the hospital, pay for that one?
No, that was donated.
The Whites, or John and Ann White.
Yeah. Okay, I'm okay with that one. Okay.
Flag disappear.
All right, so the next thing was the town website being different. It does look different. The old webpage was running like an outdated base version of its scripting language. So to get it current for a secure, you had to pick a different template. So that's why the look of it changed itself. Now, on mobile devices, if anybody's, I heard that it doesn't work on mobile devices. And if anybody can find where it doesn't and screenshot it, because what?
I feel like he changed something. It does now, because at first the menu was not shown. You couldn't like drop down and see anything, but now, at least on mine, it shows up.
Well, and then I think Miss Roberts said she couldn't get to the code part, so I checked the link to American Legal, because that's not part of our website. It's just the link into American Legal, and it was working. My frustration on mine, and it's how they have it set up on my Samsung, like I want to click, like on our webpage, when you click into overview, it highlights it and goes down. You actually have to go to the bottom of a mobile device and push next document to get to that spot. So I thought it wasn't working from my phone from a moment, because I was trying to get an overview click like I do from the website on a hard device. But you have to click 3 times, I think 3 or 4, to get to document scroll on the bottom. But if anybody does come across that and they screenshot a problem, then I know what I'm looking for versus there's a problem. Well, how it screenshot things, and I can start modifying or fixing. So that's what I know. And I had all the other town employees start playing with them on their phones. Brenda didn't have a problem with hers. Eric didn't have it. I thought it was maybe because I have an Android versus an Apple. So we've tried to sample different devices to see if there was a problem there. So that's all that. Then followed up with our attorneys. She's okay. She's my guinea pig. Then it was on to setting up our attorneys as per your contracts. And I haven't actually signed Sam's, now that I think about it. But spoke with him, but I have to actually fax that to him. But Guza does have his. And then working out the logistics still of, do we set up a different town attorney website? How are we going to do that? Especially like when we get to records request. If there's any of that, having an attorney with an outside the town email, but I don't want to make it more complicated for him where he's got to check like 6 emails a day. You know what I mean? So still streamlining the logistics of that. And then was in contact with Colette. You kind of see the fruition of that as these 2 contracts. And then with that, we weren't ready for it, but next month, I'm looking at preparing one for the initial engineering services for the water plant. Because our deadline for ARPA is, funds being used is, yeah, it's in 25. So if we start the engineering process towards those water plans, we were thinking of using the remaining of our ARPA for that first. So I'm working on that contract to start the engineering portion of our water, our wells, and the tower. SRO, and that's about the highlights. Oh, yeah. And then Ginger and I are working on a full audit debrief. We're thinking about scheduling, but I don't know if we were going to. I'm thinking about it anyway. 2 weeks from now, where we do a second meeting.
Is that where somebody will come in from the audit academy and tell us?
Online, probably, yep.
We've never had somebody from Ennis come down.
Okay.
And we would have to pay them separate for that. So they're online now, and I will send you a copy of all the audit findings. And there we're getting them posted on the town website. I don't think they're up yet. Yeah. Didn't we do that last? Yeah, that's how we did it last year. Yeah. And it's in the office, and then we're putting it on the website, and then we'll go through it together, and then my action plan for the items found. I had an initial meeting with Darla Erickson and Trevor Henry from the Department of Finance at the state as to audit findings, our audit findings. We'd actually approached them before Ennis ever did this year's audit. And Trevor was not in the office. It was Shauna then. And then we couldn't get back in touch with Shauna. We were reaching out for assistance there. So that's the plan, is the 26th is audit. That's one big chunk. And I'd like to be able to give the time that it needs devoted to it, to have a meeting to just go over it, its findings. And then.
Will that be a work session and not a meeting?
No, on our Thursday, 26th. Oh, okay, I check. And with that, at the same time, it would be a meeting because I would like to look at the contract for Ennis as well for next year. For the reason that Ernie has chosen to retire from that company, which means they're slowing down their clientele. And Kurt would like an answer very soon, or he's going to X us off the list and we find a new auditing company, which seems to be kind of. No, Kurt's already said, like, hey, are you guys going to renew that so that you're on my list? So,
That wasn't on this.
he didn't have a full contract with him. I'm not going to have him vote on something where you don't actually get to see the
I
contract.
understand that. I wouldn't vote on it anyway. I mean,
So, are any objections to the 26th having, or 25th? And if you have questions ahead of time, let me know.
I'll make an effort. I might do it remotely.
Well, if it's not gonna work, I feel like the audit's gonna be like all hands on deck. So if I need to adjust the date, we can adjust the date to whatever works. But that's an all hands on deck discussion so that we can make sure that we're going through everything, know where we're at and what my plan for findings are officially. So, is there a date that works better for you? Brenda, do you have somebody come in or work to readjust?
I'm like, I would prefer Wednesday, but
I can do Wednesday, but I think that. We'll stick with the 25th and then doing the online method. Great. All right. I'm scheduled. What did you have? That's the end of my report now. And I've been tracking my hours so that when we do local government review, there's an accurate representation like as Brittany was saying, is like, how close are you to an actual city manager? Because my little paycheck says 30 hours a month. That's not a realistic goal for 2024, 2026, and if it's a 10-year plan. So that's my opinion, but I've been trying to track it so that at least there's a kind of an idea of what it takes. Yeah, I have like 15 minutes. I have my little Hello Kitty book. So at least it's a quick in and out.
Yeah, it's interesting. City managers start out in small towns, eventually work their way up to something bigger. So you don't have to pay them like $200,000 or anything like that. So it's actually can be affordable, I guess.
That's a joke. All right, so that's
Especially with the resort tax, you could definitely afford it.
And I don't know if that's an agenda item because it's not like you appoint somebody, but MSU recommends that we have a point of contact for local government review, somebody that answer questions. Somebody local to answer questions about local government review and the process and how it works and what? We didn't actually assign somebody. At this point now, you have to have you form your local government review committee, and those people are elected, and they have to turn in an application at the county and be part of the 3-person, because we assign 3-person committee, and they're elected from the general populace.
Right, they're not.
Don't raise your hand or turn in your paperwork now. It's okay. Oh.
So they're elected?
They're elected or appointed?
They're elected.
They're elected. They're not appointed.
The committee is
3 people.
They're elected by, like, in the election is fall, or there's some
Yeah.
names on there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So that's just the next part. So MSU is putting together a brief that they thought that they would have together next week, and they're sending it out as part of the league. And then those are debriefs for all the newspapers to put out. And I've already been in touch with the Madisonians to say, hey, are you prepared? And she's very aware. The Madisonian is like, well, yeah, because the county's doing it, Virginia City's doing it, Sheridan's doing it. You're like Twin Bridges is the only town that elected not to do a local government review. So, and then we're already talking about doing joint training sessions because, like, when we budgeted as where we go somewhere once because MSU is going to hold those, and then I budgeted for an additional training to bring Dan down in case somebody was sick or we needed extra questions for that committee. Does that make sense? So now those people are elected. They're not appointed by us. This is an independent review of what the people want the next 10 years to look like. And
so, but none of you can be part of it.
No, not as part of the local government review. But you can be I'm like, I don't care. I'm here on Monday so I can answer questions. I seem like I'm kind of getting the process down and how it's going to go, so I can be the point of contact of this is what you do, this is how you fill out the stuff. Here, please fill out these forms, go here, be elected, and then I'll help coordinate MSU coming in and the trainings and everything. I can be the. What?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yep. But no, they go through there's like a whole process where they interview and data collection.
Yep, we get interrogated. It's really lovely. Bless you.
So without any objections, I can point people in the right direction where if they would like to have this very low paying opportunity for travel reimbursement, but be part of some awesome 10-year review, they can go for it. Okay.
Unscheduled matters.
Corey, what you got for unscheduled?
You covered it already.
The local government?
The budget audit
Oh,
meeting.
I thought you were excited about local government, but okay, we'll do that audit budget. Nobody's got anything else? Yeah. It's not a contract.
Well,
It's not a contract.
well, it is. Whatever. It is, but HR. Will that also be?
I have briefed Guza and he's giving me an opinion. He'll come down. He's like, well, I'm gonna review all of your information and then we're gonna go from there. So.
Sounds great. Love it.
Just for
Fine,
FYI,
guy.
the logo on the screen is.
It's all right if you're looking at this way. It's not.
That means.
I rejected that.
So I have a question.
And
Who paints the rocks on the hill over there, the letter E?
oh, you want that as our project?
I didn't say I wanted that as a project.
Is it typically the seniors?
I was just wondering.
They fail. They use whatever, I mean, that's what they used to do, I don't know, but they usually change E and then put the 24, 25.
Oh, the year they're graduating.
It used to be,
No. I love how we say this in senior class and we're all like, I don't remember doing that. You did it?
Second, at some point. She moved, I second.
Okay, go.
Aye.
Senior class that didn't do it.
Was dead. Died.
It has. No, I'm not allowed in that door. I am allowed everywhere but that store.
But you could get in this now.
I don't know why.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I'm abandoned.
And sit in the river? Yeah. I would like to go.
It's a repeat, I ran out. I'm just repeating. But, yeah, and I'm honestly, it, you know, it's just exposure to contact, and I'm like, not the paper, you know, but, and then just have conversation. A lot of different, it's kind of interesting, Terry shows, actually. She first got it from while she always kind of You don't want to slow down. Maybe tomorrow, Friday, all right. Yeah. Right. Oh, nice, really? For your grandson? Quarterback, Cam? Huh. How old? Mike's son? Oh. Hey, see you later. Hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Which is, yeah, it's just a suburb, basically, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those towns that slowly, I mean, they're. Oh, whispering. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I work with a lot of people, so yeah, I know.